Good evening. You're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Choudhry. What you just watched was our report on election dispatch coming in from the region of Marathwada. Because this is one region where, the caste fault lines have emerged so strongly at the back of the Maratha agitation that it's very difficult to predict whether, because it's also, an area where people are dependent on farming, whether it would be on the basis of agrarian distress or on the basis of caste fault lines that people will come together and vote. What will be the key factor? One of them. What will be the impact of the Jarangeh factor? That also needs to be noted. Manoj Jarangeh Patil, a Maratha quota activist who sat on a stir in Jalna, decided to withdraw his candidates at the last minute. 4th November, he withdrew his candidates that were going to fight this election. Many say that this was a reapplication of the 2024 Lok Sabha model. Will it impact Ekdam Mahavikas Aghadi? We're going to come in and get in a larger understanding, but let's put out some figures there. Now, as per the Sea Voters survey, one question that was asked was what would be the key factor in this election? And look at those figures that we are just going to put out for our viewers. Maratha reservation stands at 23%, viewers. 23% is going to be the key factor on which people will vote, and that number one in that is Maratha reservation at 23%. Redevelopment of slums is 10%, performance of state government 7%, performance of Prime Minister 12%, economic conditions 6%. While we bring in our guests, we're going to graphically break down data in terms of how each region is looking at the key factors, especially where the Maratha reservation quota stir is concerned, and will it be impactful. I want to bring in two journalists who've been tracking Maharashtra very closely. Sudhir, Suryavanshi, senior journalist, as well as my colleague Dhaval, who is also joining us with the very latest on that. But Sudhir, beginning with you, Marathwada, Maratha agitation, this is where everything merges into these very strong caste fault lines. I'm coming in from there, and it does seem to be a huge factor on which will rest the vote of Marathwada.
Yes, Preeti, if you see Marathwada, in Marathwada, where the Manoj Jarangeh Patil started his hunger strike and protest, is the epicenter of the Maratha reservations. And it has, spread in Marathwada, then later in different part of the Maharashtra, then across the Maharashtra. So therefore, this epicenter is still, as you rightly pointed out and said that, still you can feel there is a, resonance of Maratha reservation in the Marathwada region. But except Marathwada, I don't see that that is going to impact in other like Western Maharashtra, Vidarbha, and the North Maharashtra region. Main epicenter will be Marathwada region. And there, apart from that, Manoj Jarangeh Patil, that soybean and cotton will be another factor, that will play the major role, that will, overcome that caste, creed, and everything, and people will vote as a farmer. That is also another thing. In Marathwada, why the Marathas are so, agitating and doing the protest? Because if you remember, the Marathwada region got Maharashtra later on, because it was earlier part of the Nizam state that was connected to the Hyderabad. Then later it came. So the Marathwada is still backward in many aspects. And they feel that the other region has got developed, but Marathwada region has not got developed. So they need a reservation. They feel that reservation is a way to get the good education in the good government colleges like engineering and medical, and get the good jobs also. Therefore, many students, particularly the lower start of the Maratha, are vehemently supporting Manoj Jarangeh Patil, and therefore Manoj Jarangeh Patil very much popular in that particular region, and that is a cause of concern for the Mahayuti. If Manoj Jarangeh Patil would have fielded the candidate, then that would have damaged the Mahavikas Aghadi. But there is also catch also in that Mahayuti has also given the Maratha candidate this time, not the OBC candidate last time. If you remember in the bid, Pankaja Munde was, OBC, and the Bajrang Soni, he was Maratha. So Maratha consultation happened. The Bajrang Soni defeated the Gopinath Munde, daughter Pankaja Munde, in the bid constituency. So the Mahayuti also played smartly this time. They have been the Maratha candidate. Now how the voters will react, Maratha particularly, that we have to see on the counting day.
Dhaval, Kulkarni, to bring you in on this, because it's interesting, how much will the Jarangeh factor play in? Because when I spoke with him yesterday, he was very clear. He says, हमने नहीं बोला है किसको वोट देना है, पर 24 से ज़्यादा करना है. And all the anger reserved for nobody else but Devendra Fadnavis. How is it going to play out?
See, Preeti, let me tell you that when it comes to Maharashtra, considering the geographical spread of the state, Maharashtra is like several states rolled into one. But when it comes to these various sub-regions, let me tell you that Marathwada is one place where people are usually emotional. You know, Marathwada is a very emotional place. Maybe because of the very feudal history of the region, you know, I mean, it was part of the dominion of the Nizam of Hyderabad, and where the Razakas went in for some very targeted violence against Hindus. After the liberation of Hyderabad in September 1948, there was violence targeted at Muslims, which is a very little, which is an unknown chapter in our history. 1978, the state government decided to rename the Marathwada University after Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. So there was violence targeted at Dalits, especially the Buddhist Dalits, by the dominant agrarian caste. So Marathwada, as I said, is a very emotional place where people are usually swayed more by identity politics centered around caste, religion, etc. than economic issues. I think one of the biggest indicators of this, I can see it on your screen on the tracker, where people are saying, you know, most people seem to be swayed by reservations rather than economic conditions and agrarian distress. Because Marathwada, let me tell you, is one of the most backward regions of the state. You go to districts like Bid, where 4 to 5 lakh people migrate every year to work as sugarcane cutters. Some of them go to Karnataka, Western Maharashtra. Some of them go as far as Tamil Nadu, and they work in very inhuman conditions.
Okay.
You go to most villages in Marathwada, you will see that the educated youth has no option but to migrate to Aurangabad, Pune, etc. to work, because there are absolutely no employment opportunities there. So coming to the Maratha agitation, when I met Manoj Jarangeh Patil last week at Antarwali Sarathi, he was, just like he told you, he was very clear that he will not make it evident, you know, about whom the Maratha should vote for. But there's a clear thrust in his argument that he's against the BJP, especially Devendra Fadnavis. So I think the Maratha agitation will have an impact. The Marathas will vote against the MBA, where you have two Marathas in the fray. They will they will vote against the Mahayuti, where there are two Marathas in the fray. But at the same time, they may vote for Eknath Shinde Shiv Sena where they can, because remember, the Mahavikas Agadi swept 7 out of 8 seats in Marathwada, except Aurangabad, where Sandipan Bumre of the Shiv Sena won.
As a counter to this, Sudhir, could there be an OCD, could there be an OBC versus Marathwada consolidation?
See, Preeti, this is very interesting questions, and everybody see in the context of Haryana. Here in Maharashtra, OBC is not as considered as a block here, because after the demise of Gopinath Munde, he was a tall leader of the OBC. There is no as such a bigger popular face among the OBC community who can fill the all small caste and communities within the OBC group and the rally behind him and the party. There is no as such a big leader. That is the major lack of the BJP. Second thing, in the OBC also, there are some castes like a Lohar, Sutar, other things. They prefer to join with the Maratha rather than the dominant caste of the OBC within the Marathwada region. Like a Vanjari, the dominant caste, they will not rally with the Vanjari, but they will rally with the Maratha community. So there are different angle plays in the OBC also.
All right, okay. So we're going to take the conversation further tomorrow. Appreciate both our guests for joining us. We had to keep it very crisp today. But like I said, it's game on. This is the home stretch, the final lap.